What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to go from zero, meaning you're just getting started, to $20,000 per month as a life insurance agent selling life insurance from home. Now, if we haven't met yet, my name is Tim Schooker. I run the Life Insurance Sales channel where I put out free content like this to help insurance agents make six figures over the phone, working from home or anywhere else in the world. I'm actually in Spain at the moment, and it's all thanks to telesales and working this business remotely. Now, I also run a company called Advanced Stage of Marketing where we coach and train and help insurance agents get to the point where they're making six figures over the phone. We do that with helping them set up their own lead generation so that they can generate their own leads, and then also providing them with coaching and training so that they can, get to the skill level they need to be where they can, make that income and then ultimately go on and build an agency or do whatever they want from there. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys everything I've learned over the last 3.5 years from selling insurance myself, right? Actually having $20,000 in a month in deposits, selling insurance myself, being on the side of the marketing, and then also being on the side of coaching and training other people how to get to $20,000 per month. So I'm distilling all of that learning, everything that I've learned over the last few years into this video to show you guys how to get there step by step. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive right into it. Now, before we talk about how you can actually make $20,000 a month, we have to figure out what we're actually selling and what we're actually doing, right? And so in order for us to get paid, the way that we get paid with life insurance is there's us, who's the agent, right? There's us, we have the company, and essentially what happens is you as an agent you're a glorified affiliate marketer. So what an affiliate marketer is they basically go out and they market a product and they sell a product, and then a company pays them a commission for selling that product, right? We don't have to deliver on the insurance. We don't have to pay out the death claim. We're basically just like glorified affiliate marketers. So what happens is we go out and we find clients, right? And then we send those clients to the insurance company. Or actually, we sell the clients, and then the clients pay the insurance company, right? So this is essentially what happens. So we go out, find clients, we sell them, and then the client pays the insurance company, and then the insurance company pays us, right? And this is essentially like the whole game. Now, your job is to go out and find clients at a level where the money that you are paying to acquire the client, right? You're not paying the client, but you're spending money, right? Spending money. I'll do this in red so it makes a little bit more sense. So you're basically spending money to acquire a client. The client is paying the insurance company, and then the insurance company is paying you. So in order for us to make money, we have to spend less than we are getting paid, right? Fundamentally, very simply, right? So there's a few pieces that come into this. One is how we find clients. And then also how we convert them. Okay, so how we find clients and then how we convert them, right? Those are the two things that we need to focus on. How are we going to get the clients, and then how are we going to convert them? And so the thing that you have to realize is that every single sale, like every single sale that's made, every time somebody buys something, it's in order to solve a problem, right? It's in order to solve a problem. So they're either buying something because it's a need or a want, but either way, it solves a problem for them. So if you want to get really good at this and you want to get to the point where you're making 20K a month, right? And we're going to outline all the steps, but I want you guys to understand this first. We have to understand our clients, and we have to understand what the problem is that we're actually solving for them, right? What is the problem? And when I say that, I'm not just saying like, oh, well, cover a burial, right? I mean, we need to understand this on a very deep psychological level in order for us to really, really make like generational wealth or make like, six-figure income or a really solid amount of money. We have to understand these people, the clients, okay? So this is basically how we get paid. This is how the whole industry works. Now, with that being said, let me show you guys step by step. Right? So obviously the first step for you to get to 20K a month, I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you already have this, but some of you don't, is you have to get licensed, right? And don't worry, this video is not going to be me talking about how to get licensed as an insurance agent, but that is the first step. So if you haven't done that yet, go on YouTube, search up how to get an insurance license. We also have a video on it on our channel that you can watch. But once you've done that, you're good to go. I'm not going to spend too much time on that. So you got to get licensed. That's step one. Now, step two is picking an agency and picking a product to sell, right? So we got to pick an agency and a product, okay? So the way that I recommend doing this is first I'm going to talk about the product and then I'll talk about the agency. So with the product, if you're going to sell life insurance, there's really like three main paths that you can go, but it really breaks down into like two different markets or two different avatars, right? We can sell term, we can sell IULs. So I'm just going to kind of like branch this out. Term or IUL or final expense. These are like the three main markets. Now, honestly, you can group term and IUL into one, and then you can group final expense into one, right? These are different markets. So this is like working class, or just say working, and then this is seniors, okay? So you're going to fall into one of these two buckets. If you're selling term, you're usually also going to be selling IULs. If you're selling final expense, you're usually going to be selling to seniors, okay? So do you want to sell people that are working or do you want to sell to seniors, right? Now, I'll tell you guys what I did and why I personally chose to go this route, and then you can kind of decide for yourself. So for me personally, I got into the final expense business, and there's definitely some cons to it, but I'll tell you guys the pros and then I can explain the cons. So with final expense, the nice thing about it is the people that you're selling to are at a point in their life where life insurance is a priority, right? When you are getting closer to death, you really start to realize that you're going to die. This is why a lot of times in society you see that the more religious people are oftentimes older, and it's because they recognize like their time is coming and they have to get right with God, right? That's why a lot of times older people are more religious than younger people, is because they see the inevitable coming around the corner. Same thing with death, same thing with life insurance. So these people are oftentimes going to be more urgent, right? They're going to be more urgent, which means that they can usually be easier to sell. The other thing too about selling final expense to seniors is it's a very quick sale. It's very quick, right? We can find out somebody's approved usually on the call, and it's usually a one-call close. So it's a very quick, fast sale. And you can get people approved whether they're healthy or whether they're not. The other thing too that's nice is income is guaranteed. Income is guaranteed. And since they're retired, it's easier to reach them, right? Because they're not usually working in the middle of the day. Easier to reach. Boom. So seniors, it's like they're very urgent with this product. It's a quick sale. Their income is guaranteed because it's from Social Security, and they're also easier to reach. The other thing that I like is it's very simple, which for me, my ultimate goal is to build an agency and build like a big business in this industry. And so it's easy to train other people how to do it. Easy to train. So it's easy to train final expense. So this is why I like final expense. This is my personal preference. It's a very quick, simple sale. There are downsides. You are going to deal with some low-income people, but it's very quick. It's urgent. Their income is guaranteed. And if you're going to train other people on how to do it, this is a much easier thing to teach them to do, okay? Now, term and IUL, term and IUL, it's still a great market, and people make a ton of money in this market. Like, don't get me wrong. They're both good markets. You just have to decide which one appeals more to you. The term and IUL, again, you're going to be looking more at, working class people that are currently, they have a job, they're making money, they're in the economy. A lot of times they're going to be able to spend a little bit more, which is good, but oftentimes it's not as urgent, right? Life insurance is not as big of a priority for them oftentimes. So there's a little more convincing. And then a lot of times the underwriting can be like a longer thing, right? With these bigger cases where it's like a big term or a big IUL, a lot of times, like, there's a lot of back and forth because you got to submit it, and then there's paperwork, or you got to deal with like a financial advisor if it's an IUL. So a lot of times it can be a longer drawn out sale. It's also like a little more complex, but you're probably going to deal with less chargebacks than you would with final expense. So there's pros and cons to each. There's plenty of videos on YouTube that talk about the best life insurance products to sell. So feel free to watch those, kind of weigh that out. I will tell you, I went with final expense because I want to build an agency, and I think it's easier to train people to do that than it is to train people on how to do term and IUL. So that's my personal preference. Now, that's the product. I'm going to erase this. So feel free to take a screenshot of that. I'm going to erase this, and then I'm going to talk about the agency. Okay, how to pick an agency. So first, once we've decided what product we want to sell, now we need to find an agency that's going to support us on selling those products, right? So what I recommend is, with whatever agency you go with, the commission is important, but it's not the most important thing. The most important thing when you're first getting into this industry is there's two learning curves that you have to overcome, okay? There's two learning curves. One is sales, and one is insurance knowledge. Okay? So in order for us to get to our goal, which we said at the beginning of this video is $20K per month, we have to traverse or overcome both of these learning curves, right? So we have to get to the point where we have enough insurance knowledge and we're good enough at sales to make $20K a month. The person who's going to help us do that is our mentor. It's the person who's going to show us the ropes. So the better our mentor, the faster we're able to move across these lines and get to $20K a month, right? So we need somebody that's going to show us how to underwrite. We need somebody that's going to show us objections, how to overcome different things, how to get policies approved, different situations, like keeping our head on straight, which honestly is a lot of the job of a mentor, is just making sure that you are held accountable and just do what you need to. That person is very, very important towards your success. So I recommend, personally, picking your agency based on who you want to be mentored by. So there's a lot of people on YouTube. We're one of them. David Duford is out there. There's plenty of people on YouTube that, are good mentors. And I would recommend deciding where you're going to work based off of who you want to train you. So don't just go with, the IMO that your, brother, sister's mother recruited you to. Go with the IMO and the agency that has a mentor that you want to be trained by, right? So pick from Pick based on mentor. Okay? And then also, whenever you're going to pick an agency or pick someone to put your contracts with, or just someone that's going to train you, right? Like there's some situations out there where you can get training from someone and not have to be contracted with them, right? Like that's kind of how our coaching program works. You can be at any IMO and we can still train you. But basically you want to find a mentor and find a situation where you're going to be able to learn from somebody that has already done what you want to do, right? The other key too with an agency is someone that you can trust, right? Because you're basically getting into a marriage in a sense. You're basically picking a business partner. So you don't want to go with a business partner that has a history of, scamming other people. You wouldn't marry the girl that has been through 8 divorces and has cheated on every single one of her husbands, right? Same kind of situation. So look for somebody that you can trust, and you'll have a much easier time with picking an agency. So we got licensed, we got an agency. Now let's move on to step 3, which is setting our goal, right? So I believe that it's really important to begin with the end in mind. And the thing is, I feel like a lot of people just go through life and they just kind of like float around. And they're like, this is basically their trajectory. So they go here and then someone says, oh, you should go do insurance. And then they get into insurance and then they're like, oh, this sucks. And then they go and do something else. And then they go and do this. And then somebody's like, I drew a circle. And then, you know, somebody's like, oh, you should get back into insurance. And so they go back and get back into insurance, and then they fail, and then they go into something else. And it's just like, they're just all over the place. They're just floating, and they're letting life control them. Everything is hard when you don't know where you're going, right? Everything sucks when you don't have a goal. So insurance is literally just a vehicle, but your goal is the destination. So I'm not going to just jump in a car and start driving and like just hope that I end up somewhere nice. I'm going to get in the car, I'm going to figure out where I'm going on my GPS, and then I'm going to map myself there. So you need to figure out what is your goal, right? And so when I say goal, I mean, what is your income goal? What is your lifestyle goal? And then what does it take to get there, right? So AP, what does it take to get there AP wise? So how much do you want to make, right? Let's say this is 100K. Why do you want to make 100K? Really think about that, because I can't answer that for you, right? Maybe it's like you want to pay off your house, you want to get out of debt, you want to send your kids to private school, whatever the hell it is for you. Figure that out. And that has to be something that is concrete. It has to be something that you think about, and it gets you out of bed in the morning, and it gets you excited to go work. Literally, like the first thing that I do with anyone that joins our coaching program is I make them go through and create a vision board with exactly what they want their life to look like, and they make it their screensaver. So that every time they get on their computer and they're going to go make dials and they're going to get hung up on and they're going to deal with some BS throughout the day, they can look at their vision board and realize why they're doing it. And you need to do that, or you're not going to stick with it. So lifestyle, and then AP. How much AP do you need to make 100K? We have a free tool called the Insurance Profit Calculator. I'll leave a link in the description down below that you guys can download. And basically you can put in what your commission is, what your average policy size, and it'll tell you how much AP you need to write to hit this number, okay? So we need to set our goal. And you need to write this down, you need to make it very clear, and I recommend looking at it every single day before you start working. Because if you don't know where you're going, all of what I'm going to talk about in just a second, you're not going to stick with it because you don't have a goal that's driving you towards it. So make sure, like of all of the steps, this is probably the most important, is setting a goal. So you actually know why you're doing this and what you're working towards. So make sure you set a goal, make sure it's concrete, and make sure it's something that gets you out of bed in the morning, okay? So that's step 3. Now step 4 is finding a quality lead source, okay? Finding quality lead source. So I'm going to talk about why it's so important to find a quality lead source, and then I'm going to talk about the 3 main ways that people get leads, okay? So why do you need a quality lead source? So let me kind of paint a picture for you guys, right? Let's say you're going to build a house, and there's 2 rivers. River 1, River 2, okay? And, you know, let's say we're trying to decide where should we build our house next to. Do we want River 1 or River 2? Okay, 1, 2. Now, River 1 has a bunch of trash floating in it, right? There's like this chemical plant upstream that's like dumping a bunch of toxic waste in here, right? They're dumping a bunch of like, you know, toxic waste into the stream. And there's like another person that lives up here, and for some reason they just have this weird habit of like, they like to, you know, poop in the stream. See if we can find a color brown. Yeah, they just, you know, whoops. They're doing whatever they're doing here, and here we can build our, like, okay, so we can either build our house right here, or we can build our house right here, right? So this is River 1. Now River 2, perfect pristine water. There's like a mountain up here, and when the ice melts, that's where all the water comes from. Where are you going to build your house? Right? Obviously, hopefully we're on the same page. You're going to build your house right here, right? This is the water source that you want feeding your family. Now, leads are basically the exact same way. You can either pick a crappy lead source, or you can pick a quality lead source. And if you pick a crappy lead source, like let's say we build our house here, all of a sudden you're going to start to have these downstream effects of the water source. Because if you're drinking this water, you're going to start getting sick, right? and then your kids are going to get sick, and your dog's going to get sick, and everything is poisoned, right? So if you have a bad lead source, your business is going to be poisoned. It's the same way. Whereas if you have a quality lead source, your business is going to be healthy. Okay? So when picking a lead source, that's what you need to think about. This is the water that is flowing into your business. This is like the water that you're drinking. That's the way that you want to think about this. So make sure that the leads you have are quality. Now, I'll give you guys an example. When I first got into business, if you've heard the story before, just bear with me. We were working free Walmart gift card leads. So people would send in a mailer that said, send this back for a free Walmart gift card, meaning that everyone that I talked to, all of my prospects, were filling this out to get a gift card, right? They didn't actually want life insurance. So as you can imagine, my quality of lead was bad. I was able to make sales, but then those sales ended up charging back because they just wanted the gift card. So I was drinking water from River One. And when I transitioned and we started generating our own leads, and we started generating leads of people that actually need life insurance, and we're marketing to a specific niche, all of a sudden our chargeback rate went down, our closing rate went up, our average policy size went up. The downstream effects of the lead source is real. So quality lead source. Now there's three main ways that you can get leads. You can buy them, you can generate them, and you can get them for free. Okay? Buy, generate, free. So buying leads just means going to a lead vendor. With this, you're going to pay a markup, right? So markup, which makes sense because how is the lead vendor going to make money unless they charge a markup? So you can't really blame them. But there's a markup, less transparency. So you don't really know exactly what your lead is seeing before they jump on the phone with you, before they become a lead. They could be running an ad that you are not a fan of, and you have no control over it, right? Now, generating leads, this is personally what I do and what I recommend people to do, because you have full control over what your customer sees. So you know exactly what they see before they jump on the phone and talk with you. So I recommend doing this with Facebook. Especially if you're doing final expense, because there's so many, Facebook and Instagram, just to clarify, there's so many seniors that use Facebook, it's like actually ridiculous. So I recommend using Facebook and Instagram to generate leads. And when you do this, your costs are lower. And what I found is your quality is also higher. So cost lower, quality higher. Now with free leads, this is basically where you give up a percentage of your commission in exchange to get free leads from your agency, right? So usually you're going to be anywhere from like 30% to 50% commission. So they're not technically free. You're just paying for them with your sales. I'll give you the reason why I would do each of these three things, right? So I would buy leads if you're like brand new and you just want to get like a really quick start and you want to start having leads so that you can start selling. I would just buy a pack of leads and then start going from there. If you want something sustainable long-term and you want full control over your business, I would generate leads. And if you're broke and you just want to get into this business with no risk whatsoever, I would do free leads. So that's how you decide on your lead source. That is step number 4. So once we have a quality lead source, and again, whichever route you go, just make sure they're good leads, right? And good leads are people that are opting in for life insurance, they're not resold, and they're exclusive, okay? So now once we've found our quality lead source, the next step is, I'm gonna go to another page here. Let me make this black. So the next step is to learn a script, okay? So the reason that a script is so important is because, so think about like a restaurant like Chick-fil-A, right? So you got a Chick-fil-A here. I'm going to draw the worst. I'm just going to draw a little squiggle. That's Chick-fil-A, okay? That's their logo, in case you were confused. So this is the Chick-fil-A logo. And basically, if I go to a Chick-fil-A in Atlanta, or I go to a Chick-fil-A in Dallas, the chicken sandwich is going to be the exact same, right? It's the same chicken sandwich, right? You got the bun, you get the chicken, you got the pickles, and then you got the bun again. This is going to be the exact same. Now, you may be wondering, why am I talking about, Chick-fil-A chicken sandwiches? Well, the reason is because it's systemized, right? It's a factory. Every sandwich is the exact same and they have a system, right? This is systemized. Now, what most agents do is they go out and they start, they jump on the phones and they're like, oh, I'm just going to talk to people because I'm a good salesperson. I'm going to make things happen. And every sale ends up being different, right? So it would be like if you went to Chick-fil-A and at one restaurant, they served you the chicken sandwich, right? And then at a different restaurant, they served you like a hot dog. Right? This is a hot dog. You'd be like, what the hell? That doesn't make any sense. And the reason that this has something to do with the script is you want every sale to be the same. You want every sale to be systemized so that you can get systemized and consistent results, right? If we treat every sale the same and we follow the same word track, or we follow the same formula, then that means that we will start to get consistent results. But if we're doing something different every single time and we're just kind of like, going with the flow, you're going to have different results every time and you're not going to have consistent sales. So learn a script. And the best way to learn a script is to find a quality script. If you guys want a good script, there's a link down below in the description. You can download our 100K a month telesales script. Learn that one. That one's really good. So learn a script. You're going to want to listen to other people doing the script. So listen to call recordings. We have some call recordings on our YouTube you guys can listen to. We have a whole playlist called live call recordings. So listen to call recordings. And then once you do that, once you've listened to a few people like running through and doing it, you want to read the script and record it. So read and record you reading the script. And then listen to your own call recording, right? And just listen to this on repeat. When you're at the gym, when you're driving, when you're walking around, when you're doing laundry, which that's for another video. I don't recommend doing your own laundry. When you're eating, when you're showering, just play it on repeat. Like listen to this on repeat, okay? And then you can also print out the script. This is actually a really helpful tip that I've learned. Print out and then handwrite it. Right? Now, in another one of my videos, I talk about leverage and like asymmetries, which basically just means like the most efficient way you could spend your time, like the highest leverage work you could do. Getting the script down is some of the highest leverage work you can do as a life insurance agent, right? So you need to learn the script and you need to know it like the back of your hand, right? Like I should be able to like come up to you in public and just like slap you a bunch and then kick you and throw you on the ground. And you're like, in a daze, and I'm like, what's the script? And then you just spit it out word for word. That's the level that you need to have this down so that you can crush it when you go on the phones, okay? So really, really, like, don't skip over this. Actually, like, this step is taking me about 3 minutes to explain in this video. This should take you like a week to actually go through and do, okay? This is something you don't want to just like half-ass. This is something that you really want to labor over and make sure that you really have this down, okay? So once you have the script, the next step, let me erase this so I can put this on step. There's 10 steps, by the way, guys. The next step is to learn the objections, right? So learn the objections. Now, you don't have to learn every objection, but here's kind of the way that I recommend doing it, okay? So there are basically, there's like 4 main objections that you're going to get a bunch, right? There's some that come in the first 30 seconds, and there's some that come post-close. Post-close. All right, so I'm going to show you guys the first 30-second ones and the ones that I would recommend memorizing, and then I'll show you the post-close, okay? So first 30 seconds objections, this is going to be not interested and already have it. Not interested and already have it. If you get those 2 objections down and memorized, you're going to be able to overcome like 90% of what you get in the first 30 seconds, right? You don't actually have to memorize every objection. You just have to memorize the biggest ones that you get most often. You have to have those really down. You want to memorize the script, right? Especially the first part of the script. And then you want to memorize the first 30-second objections, not interested and already have it, because those are the ones you get the most. You'll get those like 80% of the time, and then all of the other ones you'll get like 20% of the time, right? So memorize not interested and already have it, okay? I'll show you guys where you can get these objections so that you can like see how to overcome them in just a second. And then for post-close, this is wife/spouse. Obviously, you're usually going to get wife from the husband. Wife, and think about it. Okay? Wife objection and think about it objection. If you can memorize these 4 to the same level of the script, right? Like, you know, you're sleeping and then I break into your house and pour a cold bucket of ice water on you and I say, you know, I already have insurance, right? This is me slapping you. I already have insurance. And then you can like spit it out and you know exactly what to say. That's when you know you're good. And it's just 4 objections that you have to memorize. So just get those word checks down, okay? That's really, really important because you're going to have a much easier time when you jump on the phones having those objections memorized. This is like no other objections. If you just know these 4, you can get to 20K a month. No problem. No problem, okay? So learn those 4 objections. Not interested, already have insurance, wife objection, and think about it. And if you guys want to see how to overcome those, if you go on our channel, I'll link it like in the comments or something. I'm gonna include I'm gonna write down a note of what I actually have to include in the description so I don't forget anything. But I'll include a video to our sales training where you can see how to overcome each of those objections. Okay, so objections. Once you have those down, that's step 6. Okay, so step 6, boom, done. Just get those 4. Now, next we need to learn the underwriting basics. So we need to learn underwriting basics, okay? Now, when I say basics, I don't mean that you need to know any, like whatever combination of health, you know exactly which company to go. Like that's not what you need. You basically need to have about 5 core carriers. I'll tell you the ones that I recommend. About 5 core carriers. And then with those carriers, like you know where to put the most common health conditions, right? So like same kind of idea with the objections. We need to know the 4 main objections that we're going to get 90% of the time. We need to know the most common health conditions where we're going to go, right? And we're going to use insurance toolkits, which if you guys don't know what that is, it's basically a software that will automatically like figure out where you need to go based off of the person's health. You just put in their age, date of birth, if they smoke or not, their medications, their health history, and it'll tell you what company to go with, and then also what the price will be, so like the quote, right? But basically, we need to know like where we're going to go for like the main things we're going to run into, which is usually going to be like COPD, diabetes with neuropathy, and then like congestive heart failure. These are like, this is the 3 things, like congestive heart failure or heart issues. So I'll just tack all of those into one. Most of the cases we're going to run into are going to fall into these 3 categories. And we just need to know who to go for these different carriers, right? So the carriers that I personally recommend using, let's see if I can move this up. Okay, yeah. So the carriers I personally recommend using are Royal Neighbors of America. Feel free to take a screenshot of this. SBLI, Transamerica, Mutual of Omaha, and AIG. Okay? If you just have these 5, you can cover like 95% of health conditions. Okay? Just these 5. Royal Neighbors, SBLI, Transamerica, Mutual of Omaha, AIG. Get those, and most of the rest of everything will just figure itself out, right? And basically, right, like if you get someone with, like you should have the basic idea of like, okay, someone has diabetes and neuropathy, I'm gonna go with Royal Neighbors, right? Somebody has congestive heart failure, I'm gonna go with Transamerica. Somebody has, cancer right now, I'm gonna go with AIG because that's gonna be guaranteed issue, right? And basically just kind of having it down to an overall general knowledge of where to go. You don't need to know everything, but for like the main health conditions that pop up, you should have an idea of where to go and then use insurance toolkits for the rest of it. I'll include a underwriting guide below this video. I'm actually just gonna write down real quick what I need to include for you guys. So I'm gonna give you guys the insurance profit calculator. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys the objections and sales training. The script is already in the description, and then I'll give you guys the underwriting guide. Underwriting video. Cool. So we got Royal Neighbors, SPLI, Transamerica, Mutual of Omaha, AIG. You need to have a basic understanding of underwriting. You don't have to be like a master, okay? Now, after that, with the main carriers that you use, right? Let's say that you take my advice and you use these. You basically just want to have a general understanding of how to do the e-applications, right? So this would be step 8 is practice the e-applications, okay? This will be super helpful before you jump on the phone, because if you're doing telesales and you're selling from home, you want to have the e-applications like pretty much down. You don't want to be in the middle of a deal and lose a deal because you don't know how to do the e-app. So each of these companies, if you go to their website and you can call them and find out where to find their practice e-application, just run through a practice e-application, right? So an e-application is just an online application for the carrier, right? So a lot of times your clients can struggle with this, but if you already have an understanding of how to do it, they will be the only ones that are confused. It won't be both of you being confused, right? And so you basically just want to run through, do a few practice run-throughs of the application so you're comfortable with each of them. That way when you jump on the phone, you know how to do it and you can troubleshoot it. So again, go to the websites for each of these carriers like within their portals, or you can call up their agent helpline and ask them to show you where to do the practice application for each of them. And then they will just give you a link to run through a practice application. So recommend doing a practice e-app. This will be super helpful before you jump on the phone. So that's step 8. Get a basic understanding of how to do the e-apps, okay? Now, the 9th step is where we're starting to really get into like the meat and potatoes here, is we need to set activity hygiene standards, okay? So what this means is like a hygiene standard is like, oh, I brush my teeth every single night, right? It's not a goal, it's a hygiene standard, right? And so, most people won't go to bed unless they brush their teeth. Or most people shower at least once a day, right? Or at least once every other day, I hope. So that's a hygiene standard. You will fall to the level of your hygiene standard. So on your worst day, you're still gonna brush your teeth and you're still gonna shower. So when I say set activity hygiene standards, I mean on my worst day, how many dials am I making, right? For me, on my worst day, I'm at least working like 7 to 8 hours. Worst day, right? That's a hygiene standard for me. If I don't work 7 to 8 hours, I feel like terrible. Like I feel like I didn't brush my teeth, right? So you need to set an activity hygiene standard where on your worst day, you're still gonna hit this. My recommendation is to make at least, when you're first getting started, you're trying to get to 20K a month, these are the things that you need to do, okay? So this is what I recommend you to do. You can take your own hygiene standard and do whatever you want, but this would be my recommendation. On your worst day, meaning that other days, on your best day, you're doing way more than this. 300 dials, right? You listen to one of your call recordings. And then you role play objections that you're struggling with. Okay, That means every single day you're making at least 300 dials, you're listening to at least one of your call recordings, and you're role playing with somebody on the objections that you're struggling with the most, right? Ideally your mentor. And if you do those things every single day on your worst day, I literally guarantee you that you will make $20,000 a month, or you will at least write that, right? And if you don't, and you do all these things, go out and do this for 2 months, and then come back and comment on this video if you did it and you didn't write 20K a month. You will, okay? Now, once you've set these activity hygiene standards, the 10th step, and this is literally the last step, okay? Is also the most boring, is actually doing it, right? So it's just time, input, output, feedback, okay? So what I just told you guys to do, I just gave you the exact actions you need to do. Make $300 a day, listen to at least one call recording, and then role play what you're struggling with the most. If you do that every day, I guarantee you that you will be successful. But the problem is watching videos like this, and I fall victim to the same thing. Watching videos like this and figuring out what to do, right? Figuring out what to do is the fun part. It's fun, right? It's exciting. It's like the strategizing is the fun part, right? Figuring out, watching Tim's YouTube video about how to make 20K a month, that's fun. But then actually doing it is boring, right? And so, for example, I'll give you guys a really good analogy for this. If I go to a personal trainer and I go here's kind of the steps that I would have to take to get in really good shape if I'm going to do it with a trainer. I find a personal trainer. I'm doing a bunch of research. I'm doing a bunch of research on diets and which type of person I want to go learn from and all this stuff, right? You guys may be seeing the connection here with the mentor. I go and find this person I want to learn from, and then they go and they craft me this custom workout, and it's all exciting and I'm all hype about it. And then all of the figuring out what to do, that part's done. Now you just got to do the damn workout every day. But most people, they start doing the workout for a week and then they don't see the results they want. And then they're like, I need to go figure out something else. But if they just stuck with the workout for a few months, they would see the results. It's the same thing with this, guys. Like, once you know what to do, which I just told you, now you know what to do. Now you just have to go do it. So literally, make $300 a day. Go and listen to a call recording. And then role play. And just do that every day for a few months and you will see success. It's that simple, right? You will get to 20K a month. No doubt. And basically what happens is once you start doing this, right? This is you and your activity, right? The 300 dials and the call recordings. This is your input, right? So this is input, okay? And then your output is the results that you get, okay? So you get output. Let's say in a week, your first week, you make 2 sales, right? So you go out, you input $300 a day, and you only get 2 sales, right? So you made $1,500 or $1,800, depending on how many days you're working. You only made 2 sales. So this is our output, okay? Now we're gonna take this output and we're gonna go to our mentor, and then we're gonna get feedback and advice. Feedback and advice. And then guess what? You just implement the advice. And then you do the input again. You make your $300 a day, except now you're doing it with the better advice. And then guess what? Instead of 2 sales, next week we made 4 sales. Wow. Now we're doing much better. And then we do the same thing. We go and we take our 4 sales and we go to our mentor. We say, hey, this is what I'm struggling with. I'm listening to my call recordings. This is what I'm seeing that I'm running into. You can give your mentor a call recording to listen to. And then the mentor will give you feedback and advice. You will go and implement that new advice. And then guess what? Next week, you go out and instead of 4 sales, now you made 7 sales. Whoa. Now we're not talking about 20K a month. We're talking about 30K a month. Now you made 7 sales. And then you do it. You repeat the process. We go here. Hey, mentor, what should I do? Hey, do this. You go and you do it. Right? You do it. And then instead of 7 sales, next thing you know, now you're writing 8 sales and then 9 sales and then 10 sales. And then at that point, instead of 20K, we're talking about 40K a month, right? And that is literally the best path. Like that is how you do it. That is how you improve. That is how you get better. And that is how you get to a point where you're able to write 20K per month or more. And that is how you get rich in the industry. But this step, everyone can do the first steps, but this step, it took me 5 minutes to explain, but it takes a few months. And it takes a whole year to get like really, really good and master it. And most people quit before that. So if you guys really want to see success in this industry and you want to be here for the long haul, this is what you have to do. And the input is where everyone gets stuck. They don't do the inputs, so they don't get the outputs. And there's nothing for anyone to give them feedback on because they're not doing anything. So hopefully you guys got value from this video. Hit the like down below if you did, and then hit the subscribe button for more. And I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.